Good afternoon, everybody. Can I just say thank you so much to everybody for attending this session this afternoon. I can see how sunny it is, and I know that I've probably really overplanned this session, so when you've had enough, just tell me and we'll do session 2, follow-up, and I'll already have it planned, which will be great. We'll do that another time. So, there is an awful lot going on in education at the moment, and I think at Harrop 4 what we need to just do is embrace it. Embrace this change and kind of have a bit of an alternative view that, you know, let's not moan about it. We've got the best job in the world, as it says on the screen, and we just sometimes need to take a step back and remind ourselves about why we actually came into the profession and why all of us are sat here tonight, because obviously that drive, that inner drive to want to get to outstanding is, you know, the reason you get up in the morning as well as making a difference, etc. So I thought we could all do with just a little pep talk at this stage. So I shall put that on now.
We all need pep talk. The world needs you to stop being boring. Yeah, you. Boring is easy. Everybody can be boring, but you're gooder than that. Life is not a game, people. Life isn't a cereal either. Well, it is a cereal. And if life is a game, aren't we on the same team? I mean, really, right? I'm on your team, be on my team. This is life, people. You got air coming through your nose. You got heartbeat. That means it's time to do something. A poem. 2 roads diverged in the woods, and I took the road less traveled. It hurt, man! Really bad. Rocks, thorns, and glass. My parts broke. Wah! Not cool, Robert Frost. But what if there really were 2 paths? I want to be the one that leads to awesome. It's like that dude Journey said, don't stop believing. Unless your dream's stupid. Then you should get a better dream. I think that's how it goes. Get a better dream and keep going. Keep going, keep going, and keep going. Will Michael Jordan have quit? Well, he did quit. No, he retired. Yeah, that's right. He retired. But before that, in high school, what if he quit when he didn't make the team? He would have never made Space Jam. And I love Space Jam. What will be your Space Jam? What will you create will make the world awesome? Nothing if you keep sitting there. That's why I'm talking to you today. This is your time. This is my time. It's our time. We can make every day better for each other. If we're all on the same team, let's start acting like it. We got work to do. We can cry about it, or we can dance about it. We were made to be awesome. Let's get out there. I don't know everything. I'm just a kid. But I do know this. Since everybody's good, they give the world a reason to dance. So get to it. You've just been pep talked. Create something that will make the world awesome. Play ball.
Okay, so some of you might have seen this young man. Kid president, he's got an awful lot to say, and I think there's a few things I've taken from it. The first thing he said was boring is easy, and I think, you know, he ended with this idea of, are we making our students dance? Are we giving our students and the world, in a sense, the wider world, a reason to dance? And I think it's just useful to listen and think about how special our young people are, what potential they've got, and, you know, what they can offer us. So I'm just going to come out of that, go back to our PowerPoint and just remind ourselves of that first slide. We do have the best job in the world, and sometimes it's just important to stop. We're all on this treadmill and we're all kind of racing along with all these deadlines and different things we've got to do, and processes and systems and data, and, you know, sometimes we do actually just have to slow down a little bit and really think about why we're doing what we're doing and get together with people, share ideas and collaborate. And it's that idea of the team Harrop, keeping that going and just putting the heart back into what we do, and in the words of will.i.am, keeping it fresh. You know, at the end of the day, if you went to your doctor and your doctor wasn't reading the British Medical Journal relatively regularly, would you want to take medical advice from him? So that's just something to think about at the start of this session, and you know, just making sure really that we are listening to each other, but also listening to the students. They've got an awful lot that they can teach us. And we're so busy, and we might be emailing, but the little things matter, and just taking a step back, stopping, looking into the eyes of the students, giving them that little bit of time, connecting, so important. Yeah? So just some little bits of food for thought, and then I'm just going to show you one other clip before we get started straight away on a task. So, sorry, you have to keep bearing with me that I have to keep swapping between things. But again, I think these are useful things for us to just see. This is just a poem. Again, some of you might have seen this, but just have a listen.
Hello, sir. Remember me? I'm the man you thought I'd never be. The boy who you reduced to tears. The lad called Thingy for 6 whole years. Yeah, that's right. My name's Bob. The one who landed the pop star's job. The one who you told Luke don't touch. The kid who wouldn't amount to much. Well, I'm here. And you're still there. With your fake sports car and receding hair. Dodgy Farah trousers that you think are smart. Married to the woman that teaches art. Married to the life. Married to the school. I want to sing and dance, sir. Now who's the fool? Sing and dance. You thought I was balmy. Settle down, Thingy. Join the army. And who are you to tell me this? The dream I want I'll have to miss. Sir is God. He's been given the right to structure lives overnight. Now I know life's true path. Tanks and guns. That'll be a laugh. Nah, not me. Mega civilian. I won't lead my life riding pillion. But thanks to the device, and I'm sure it'll do for the negative dickheads just like you. As for now, I've a different weapon. Stage and screen is about to beckon. And here I sit in first class. Bollocks, sir. Kiss my ass.
Okay, so just listening to that, I suppose, you know, whatever your views on Robbie Williams are, that's not really important, but what I get from that is that obviously teachers matter, and everybody remembers a teacher that's maybe been inspirational or not so inspirational, as the case may be. So it goes back to that initial point about it being the best job in the world. Just have a read. My father, the most proper of Englishmen from Sevenoaks, would cry reading Dickens to us as kids. Those are the passages I remember. Talks about brilliant teachers, human feelings, warmth, growing plants in the soul of the child. And I think real high quality, outstanding learning is, for me, about an emotional connection. And I think that's really important. So, without further ado, we're going to move on to a task. In your groups, I'm just going to give you all an envelope, and there are 20 statements in this envelope. I'm going to play a little song for you. Whilst the song is playing, I would like you please to categorise these statements into 2 columns of your choice. But be ready to be able to explain how you categorise them to a different group. Okay?
Consistently high expectations. Yeah, I understand, yeah.
Teachers and students shared management and learning Teachers generate high levels of commitment.
Okay, everybody, thank you for that. Could I just ask then now for everybody to make their way to this table, please? Stand around there, have a look at What? Okay, now there's absolutely no right or wrong answer with this task. I'm just interested in you sharing your views, and if the rest of us could just maybe ask some questions or try and understand where this table's head's at and how it differs maybe to your group. So I'll hand it over to you guys.
Can you see what? Does anybody see anything linking these ones and those?
Or can you see a difference between the words that are used in the first one compared to the overview of the second one, if that makes sense?
I'm just physically finding it quite difficult. Going to find it difficult. We did
Well,
categorise. We did.
That was actually quite right, because one of them was physical.
Yeah. We tried to think of one being more of an emotional kind of way of constructing the criteria in a lesson, and then the other one was more we put into like practical procedures, strategies.
I think that's more or less exactly the distinction that we made, wasn't it?
Well, at first we were sort of looking at them going, yeah, well, it's what's a good teacher, what's an outstanding teacher, and then as you look through them, there's quite a few that were like, well, but then as we sort of read more of them, it was like, actually, these ones are what elicit more of an emotional response rather than a practical, and then we looked at sort of splitting it that way, so we had emotional.
Because we did decide whether we were right or not. We did decide that these were all to do with outstanding criteria. We might be slightly wider than the mark there, but
What do people think? People think this is all outstanding criteria?
Not all of them.
Not all.
No. Some of them have been put in as a red herring, I think.
maybe one or two.
That's why we sort of tended to go away from good to outstanding and looked at emotional and practical. And looked at it that
Someone
way.
in our group mentioned that there was the outstanding criteria and then the above and beyond. So what was the extra that you put into that criteria?
Okay. Anybody got anything else? Anybody went on a different angle from the groups?
We ended up with 3.
Okay. Naughty.
It was because we ended up with a similar sort of, some of them fitted into a grey area. You've got the emotional context and you've got systems in place, and there's some that sort of sat in between, which sort of bridged between the two. So we ended up with, I know you only asked for 2, but we ended up with 3 because it actually fitted better into a 3 system. You've got the, getting I think one of them was like getting the pupils to engage to learn and actively encourage, which is, more emotional content. But you also got authoritative is like, you will do this. Well, the kids are just going to go, yeah, whatever. So getting them to want to do it, so you get those 2 different systems, and I think that's what we broke our columns down into.
Okay, interesting. Okay, anybody got anything else? Right, should we just take a seat again then, please? Share something with you. I'm really sorry about this. It's a read-only copy, so I don't think I can edit it. It must be open in my office. Let me just see. Can I make that bigger, Kit? In here?
Plus at the bottom. Plus.
Here?
That's it.
Okay, so the top 10 there, and I know I'm sorry they're so small, are actually from the outstanding criteria for teaching with Ofsted. Okay? Those are the top 10. The bottom 10 are just things that I wrote myself that personally are outstanding for me as an individual, and I would personally prefer Ofsted to have those kind of phrases. But I mean, again, you've talked about the emotional connection, which reverts back to sort of how I see my role in school. So, you know, those are the kind of things I wish Ofsted would put in, and those are the things that maybe at Hereford we would like to maybe stuff Ofsted and devise our own outstanding framework over the next couple of years in conjunction with the work we're doing on the learning communities, and decide on what makes us tick, what we think an outstanding lesson is. You know, obviously can't go away from that completely. I appreciate that, I see the value in it, but for me it's not personally the 10 statements that make me tick, if that makes sense to people. Would you just now have a little ranking exercise as a group and see if you can come up with a consensus of actually putting things in order of importance to you as a group of people? So obviously some of you will maybe have different opinions, but just have a little bit of a discussion about, you know, where you think you're at in terms of what's most important to you as a teacher. And this time I'm just going to use a little time, I'm not going to give you long, so off you go.
You can almost throw them in the air. I mean, some are ends and some are me, and the ends are always going to be more important than the me. So that's very motivating. So we sort of gather up the ones that are about outcome. Yeah. Students, yes. Every time we get judged in a lesson, that's pretty much totally that's what and everything else is a process. Good. That's
Just over a minute left, guys. Have you reached her?
Yes.
Come on, time to take this.
I know what you mean. Did you find that they could go for something so? Yeah, education.
Maybe. Teacher generate
with the responsibility one. Yeah.
I think this is what you meant there.
That's an umbrella for everything. Because if you don't have everything, you don't get that. It's like a label for it all, isn't it? Is it the foundation or is it the... It could go either way, couldn't it?
Okay, so I'm going to just ask you to come over to this. Stay where you are, guys. Stay where you guys. Come to this table now for a second, please. Come on, keep moving. Bit of energy, yeah. Okay, so about 50 seconds to go. This table here, so it was Alistair, Kit and Amy, came over and tried to influence you slightly differently with their way of thinking and impose it. Did it work?
No, they just listened
They failed their task.
They were just listening to what we were talking about.
Okay, so go on, explain to us then, how do you see things?
So we were saying the fact that the kids are engaged in the learning basically and have fun and want to learn. We put all those kind of statements towards the top.
Okay.
Then we moved on to thinking about marking and assessment and giving the kids feedback so that they know what they're actually doing and what they're doing well, where they need to improve, things like that, because they can't really progress unless they know that.
Okay.
And then kind of towards the bottom, we talked about homework, different sources of support, Yeah, and that was it really.
Okay,
But
brilliant.
what about
Thanks.
the bottom one? What
This one.
Rachel was saying, like,
We were saying that this is almost like teaching is outstanding and never less than consistently good is almost like a label for everything. It's not, it doesn't necessarily come in anywhere. It can either be, Louise said, the foundation for it all,
Yeah.
or almost an umbrella for everything that's there.
Okay, yeah, good point. Danny, what about your tables, thoughts? Are they similar or different?
What we thought is that there was some of them that was an overarching thing, and then a lot that aspiration, if we actually want to be there in the classroom, the kids will pick that up, therefore they'll learn more off us if they know we want to be there,
Yeah.
that we care about their learning as well.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. What about yours, Emma, your groups?
Yeah, similar to this table, putting the students at the top of the list really,
Yeah.
getting them on board, making them actually want to be there, want to learn, which obviously then will interlink and cross over with expectations.
Okay.
So similar.
Teresa, your table any different?
It
or-
was the same. We put the students having fun at the top,
Okay.
wanting, and their homework at the bottom.
Okay. Alistair, anything from yours?
Yeah, we sort of made a general distinction between means and ends, and we sort of put the ends at the top, if you like, the outcomes at the top, and everything else just kind of supports that. So anything that was to do with progress or success, we put at the top, and then everything else was just supporting that underneath. We didn't really make too many minute value judgments along the way.
Okay, fantastic. Anyone else got anything they want to share at this point? Right, okay, take your seats again, thank you.
The camera
Right, so you've just seen 10 statements that refer to Ofsted's outstanding criteria, and here it is in all its glory. What I'd like you to do now, if you can, is just spend a few minutes amending this criteria and making it the good criteria for Ofsted. Does that make sense? So I'll give you some pens, some different coloured pens. Just scribble all over it, change it, add to it, transform it into what would look like the good criteria under the Ofsted framework for teaching. Any questions? Okay, I'll bring some pens round. Just give me 3 minutes.
I think you just have consistently good, satisfactory, it's alright. I just think it would be consistently good, which says exactly the same thing. Wouldn't it be consistently good with some outstanding? I think they just take the outstanding out is usual, or you take that and then you go is usually good, or is
It's not the rapid, it's the sustained, I think it needs to be.
yeah.
So the making progress.
Pupils as well. Are making
above expectation?
in line with national averages. Oh, we've got all teachers have consistently high expectations. We just take consistency. High expectations of most.
Yeah, it's a notable impact. I think it's really
They plan and teach lessons that help pupils to learn with the change exceptionally.
Yeah.
Teachers systematically and effectively check pupils.
Okay, just 1 more minute.
Teachers check.
About lessons, anticipating where they may need to intervene and doing so. I imagine you take notes all the way and replace it with some, or demonstrable or whatever. Some impact on the quality of learning. The teaching of reading, writing, communication and mathematics is effective, mostly effective.
Yeah.
And cohesively planned. And well planned and implemented across the curriculum.
Okay, 20 seconds.
Teachers are and other adults authoritatively impart knowledge to take away authoritatively to ensure students are engaged in learning and generate high levels of yeah. Okay. I can't undo, but yes, we'll try and
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. Okay, super. Right, sorry. Comes out every now and again, that. Right. Okay, let's have a look then at the first two. Much teaching is, we have no outstanding and never less than consistently good, but usually good, and some outstanding examples. Rather than almost all students, it's just most students. Why do you think I've left that little bit in green? Anyone, any ideas?
Because that's in all of them.
Yeah. Basically, new framework, it's all about differentiation. To be good or to be outstanding, you have to be providing, you know, at least a minimum of good, really, for each different type of groups of students. Instead of rapid and sustained progress, we're just on good progress, and achieve well over time, again, is a common theme. At the bottom here, we've got the second little statement. Instead of it being consistently high expectations for outstanding, it's just high expectations. So a bit of a debate there about how often you have your high expectations in terms of a good teacher. The planning and teaching enables students to learn exceptionally well for outstanding, whereas with good, slightly different, it's about deepening knowledge, understanding and developing a range of skills. Those are the first 2 points. I'm just going to give out to you the overall statements. And what I'd like you to do when you get it is get yourselves into pairs if you can, please. There might be 1, 3, I think, looking around.
Yeah, we'll do 3.
So I'll just give a few of these to each table. Have a look at this when it comes your way. Okay, so in your pairs, everyone got a pair or a 3? Yeah, okay. In your pairs, could you just have a quick look at this? At the significant differences between good and between outstanding? And come up with, in your minds as a pair, 3 words that you think about when you think about the differences between good and outstanding. Okay, no wrong or right answer. 3 words, you can write on it, that's fine. 3 words that come to your mind about the key differences. A couple of minutes.
Yeah, consistent is what. Can we say outstanding? Right? Yeah, I've
highly effective, systematically and effectively,
cohesively, authoritatively. In other words, it's impressive sounding adverbs of various descriptions, isn't it? Yeah. I've got
1 minute left.
I like authoritative.
You just hang it. You just hang on the T. Notable.
Because again, regularly and accurately, that comes down to consistency.
30 seconds. Okay, I'm going to say time's up. Right, next little activity. In your pair or in your three, I'd like you to join a different pair or three, but not somebody on your table, that's too easy. And I would like you to share your 3 words that have come to your mind, and between you, come up with 3 as a consensus. So out of the 6, decide on 3 that you agree on. You've got 30 seconds, go. Right, time's up! Time's up! Stop! Stop! Right, I'm going to let you stay with your new pair, but I want you to now think, with the 3 words that you've hopefully decided, which you can tell by some of the faces that you've still not got to that point. Once you've decided on your 3 words, I want you to create a statue that represents those 3 words. And you need to be able to explain to the group what you are doing.
Do we hue our own
Okay? Do you know what you're doing? Create some kind of physical statue.
Oh right.
Yes. The 3 of you or the 4, there could be 4 or 5 of you in the group for your 3 words.
3 different statues of 1 statue so 3 words together.
Do you feel that I say the same thing? A couple of minutes.
3 words.
Just 1 minute left, get your statues ready. Drop me 2, would that be easy? Okay. 20 seconds. You don't have to do this again, it's alright. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, hold your position for a second. No, you don't have to do your statues yet. Right, we're going to look at one group group stature each time, and you're just going to talk us through it. So Rick would like people to come to the front because it's easier for him to see. So your group, you're happily already there, keen, the eager ones. Would you like to show us your statue? Okay.
I'm being nurtured.
Can you talk us through it?
I can't.
We're in a straight line for consistency.
Oh, I like
We've
it.
got the fist for effectiveness, and we're being nurturing by like sort of turning into a hug.
Wow, very nice, very nice. Thank you. Come take a seat. Okay, Rachel, your group, please.
Lost out.
Oh, the plant.
Very nice, ladies. Would you like to talk us through it?
Oh, you know now.
Dignity.
Planking. Because the plank is, you're consistent. I'll get up now. If you're consistent enough in your planking, you become more effective and you see progress over time. And also, it's the foundation for the house that they were. The structure.
Wow.
The structure.
Love it. Thank you, girls. Well done. Thank you very much. Okay, Gary.
Completely forgotten. Oh, right.
Oh, I like it. Brilliant. Fantastic. Okay.
Right, so that was us being passionate.
As passionate as you can get it with.
And it's the majority being passionate.
Yeah.
And Steph, you
I was being imaginative. I was using my imagination to wonder what was actually going on with these people.
Oh, I thought you were taking a picture, Steph.
No, I was.
That too.
You didn't see that. Yeah, you didn't see
Brilliant.
that.
For a personal record.
Fantastic. Great stuff. Thank you very much. Amy, have you all group been up?
Yeah, I've been
Who's been up? Who's not been up then? Jason, your team? Yeah, nice try. Go on, Jason, your team. Let's do this.
That way. Doing that.
Go this way. Yeah, go to the right.
Are we going to go up higher or lower?
To the right, to the right. Go
To
on.
the right.
To the right. Yeah, we're going to...
Wow. That's brilliant.
1933.
Okay, talk us through it. Fantastic.
Now, that'd be that.
So to
What were
do
you
with
thinking?
consistency was the word we came up with in the group. Obviously that's where we're all doing the same thing, and all as opposed to most in regards to the outstanding and the good.
Okay.
So we're all doing it. And that's the rapid thing we, yeah.
So we kind of
So
use the same ball, and he's effective obviously because his technique's constantly winning. So.
Oh, brilliant.
It's quite quick too.
It's fantastic, it is, yeah. Good. All right, fantastic. Thanks, everybody. Just take a seat. Thank you for doing that. Right, just a quick question for you all. Look at this shape again.
Oh, I left mine over there.
Can everybody see it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. But I just want, this is just for yourselves individually now, just personally. Don't give any answers just yet, just to have a little bit of think time. So, what one thing do you personally see as the most challenging to move from good to outstanding? So, looking at this criteria in particular, not sort of straying away from it too much, but in your minds, what do you see as for you personally, with your personal needs, whatever they might be, is the biggest challenge? Just pause that thought, just think a little bit deeper. And I'm going to ask Tracy to share with the group, please.
For me, it's all because of the nature of our subject. Obviously, we get some really able students and some that that are less able. And we have quite a lot of music at primary schools and some that have none. So it's about progress for all for me.
Okay.
And obviously look at the extension work.
Fantastic. Thank you. Cheryl, do you agree with Tracy's answer, or is it different for you?
I think it's probably just the same. I'm not pretty sure you did it yet. I was just going through.
That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
So similar for you. What about you, Joe?
I think interest is a one to keep
in maths, because not all pupils are interested or keen to enter a maths class.
Mm-hmm.
So to keep the interest for everybody, for all, again it links to the all word, but it's the interest of getting everybody interested.
Okay, what's your views on that, Gerard?
Yeah, IT would be the same, ICT would be the same, interested and engaged. It's very hard to keep people in some task on, maybe like Excel. If they're working on it for so long, they get really, really bored, so you have to keep it interested in different tasks, trying to liven it up a bit for them.
Okay, thanks. Can you expand on that at all, Ruth, in any way?
On that, on keeping it interesting?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that goes back to that idea of, as a teacher, keeping your own interest alive with that, and I'm not quite sure really. I was going to go with, for me, it's about progress for all.
Okay.
Really, would be mine. So that I think our subject is so interesting. I would never ever get bored with it,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope that the students don't. But for me, it is about progress for all.
Okay. Brilliant.
Key word there.
Thank you. Thanks. What's your opinions on what Ruth said, Kate?
I think all is the important thing, is the progress, but I think it's the interesting, you know, you can go from, especially in science, you go from theoretical, from things that you couldn't see with the naked eye, and trying to relate it to a child who is more interested in, you know, throwing a pencil across the room or taught his mates, and you go, right, you need to know the structure of the atom. That is difficult, and I think we're big fans of bribery and corruption, so making things out of sweets or models. I know you saw today me making faces out of DNA and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just trying to motivate them and try and relate it to everyday life. Once it's modelled in everyday life, it will stick with them, and I think that's, for me, is the thing that I try to work on most.
Okay. Brilliant. Thank you very much to everybody there. Something I came across this week when I was thinking about planning this training was a technique. I've just tried to use it then. It's the first time I've ever tried it, so it might have been really rubbish. But you may have seen it, you may have heard of it. Pause, pause, pounce and bounce. Okay? Supposed to be, under the new framework, the big new thing to help us for differentiation in terms of our questioning strategies. Okay? So I'm going to keep trialling it. Like I said, that was the first time I've ever tried it. I've not tried it with students yet as such. What exactly is it? Well, it's supposed to be this sophisticated AFL technique to move us from good to outstanding, helping to address differentiation in the classroom. The idea is you pose your question, provide some thinking time, and it just encourages us to slow down a little bit. I know one of my downfalls is I go too quick in lessons and I sometimes leave some behind. Then the idea, well in fact I'm just going to show you a little video rather than me explaining it. I'm just going to get somebody else to do that.
Okay, who can tell me what the next step is? Take the two over to the other side and close, not quite, try again. That's typically how I asked questions in my math class and how I replied. That format of asking questions is called IRE. Initiation, response, evaluation. So I asked the question, a student gave an answer, I evaluated and initiated another question. IRE, IRE. Problem with that type of questioning, and something I've only started doing later in my practice after much thought, and recently was really well articulated for me while I was reading some Dylan Williams' book, Embedded Formative Assessment, was I'm doing all the work. I'm starting the question, the student gives me an answer, but I evaluate it and then I ask another question. Williams proposes this in its place as a response to IRE, pose, pause, bounce, bounce. Pose the question. So, what would be the next step to solving this equation? Don't wait longer than 3 seconds. David answers. Take the two over to the other side. Cindy, what do you think of David's answer? Pose, pause, pounce, bounce. Williams even talks about one teacher who, when using this technique in her class, says, okay, what's the next step in the equation? And in her head, she says to herself, 1, 2, 3, 4, got to wait a little more. And then she asks, then she pounces on a student and then bounces it over to another student. And that turns out to put the lion's share of the work on the students and incorporates just the right amount of wait time, about 3 seconds. When you wait much longer than 3 seconds, it might slow the class down and make it drag too much. If you wait much less than 3 seconds, then you haven't given the students long enough to really think about what you're asking them. Average wait time for teachers, it turns out, is less than 1 second. So, it's the end of the school year, but maybe this is something that might lead to some more interesting questions and even an interesting way to lead class discussions. Give it a go the next time you find yourself in class. Cheers.
Okay, so just interesting what he said then about the average wait time we give is less than a second. And I find myself writing on areas for development for many staff at the minute, use more think time. Okay, so again, I think it's, like I said, one of my big things is slowing down the pace a little bit sometimes and just being mindful of giving the students a little bit more time to think, but not too long. Okay, so at this stage now, sorry, I'm just going to move back to looking at this and just really thinking about the advantages of it. It should help us to engage a more significant number of students because, again, one of the things alongside the need for more think time is the need to involve more students when we're actually doing questioning and answering and discussions. It tends to work well because it keeps the entire class focused because they don't know who's coming next. And it means that, you know, such a student who might be a dominant student won't just keep shouting out the answer and you won't rely on that for them to maintain the pace or the atmosphere of the class. And it also means you don't kind of focus on that one student who you know won't let you down. You know, it's just not being afraid to take a risk and to have an awkward moment, even if somebody doesn't know something, pursuing it and pushing it. Okay, so, outstanding. Just to sum up now, really. I have got a couple of other activities, but I'm aware that we've done quite a bit there, and I think maybe it's time to sort of let some of this sink in and maybe have a follow-up session. But we're really looking at the quality of teaching over time. At the moment, I'm working with Jan on thinking about something that we could maybe introduce in September possibly, where we have not just snapshots of the lesson observations, but looking at all, a bit like the review days in a sense, where we look at very many different things in terms of our practice. How's the AFL, how's the work scrutiny, how's the homework, how are the attitudes to learning and what are we doing for that. So it kind of looks at the more global picture of us in our roles, rather than just that 25-minute drop-in, because that's not who we are, just 25 minutes 3 times a year. Being able to show evidence, therefore, of what we're doing over time is going to be really crucial now in that next move to outstanding. Consistency, we've all mentioned it this afternoon, it's really key. It's about the long-term deep development of the individuals rather than just that one-off snapshot. So, I just want us to finish with one little idea, one little task. And I want you to just write on a post-it note a strategy that you've used perhaps this year or over your career that you believe helps this happen. Outstanding provision over time. Okay, I'll just give you a minute or two just to write down your thoughts.
We're missing a system.